Welcome to the Voice of College Football, the Voice of College Football West Virginia, and Gold and Blue Dude all wrapped up into one show. So whatever channel you're watching from, welcome. It's 8 o'clock Friday night, so you know what time it is. It's time to talk West Virginia football. And I've been out for the past couple weeks, not feeling great, but I'm back, energized, got a ton of energy. So I think this is going to be a good show. And my co-host, Paul, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, man? Glad to have you back. Glad you're back and re-energized. I told Joey, I
appreciate
said, "Oh no, Golden Blue Dude's re-energized. I'm in trouble tonight."
No, man, you know it's all good. You know it's all good. So,
Yeah,
at first, whenever I looked at the upcoming game and it's West Virginia going on the road to take on Texas Tech, I was a little not feeling great about it, like at all. But the more I look into the numbers, I actually like this matchup. They're very similar teams, and I think our strengths are just a little bit stronger than their strengths. What do you think about this matchup?
it's interesting. Definitely, it's similar to the Baylor game, except reversed. It's a strength on strength, weakness on weakness kind of deal, or strength on weakness. Like our back end is obviously the weakness for us. Their passing attack is their strength.
Right.
Their defensive
Exactly.
line and their run defense is a weakness for them. Our run offense is a strength for us. And so it's really who's going to be able to impose their will on the other, mix in the turnover battle. But,
Yep.
you
Yes.
know, I think the key to the game, because I was talking to Jack Bell, who writes for Viva the Matadors, and he was talking about how Texas Tech has ran over 100 plays several times this year
My
and
gosh.
absolutely dominated clock control.
That's
And
not
that's a
good.
specialty of ours, too.
Yeah.
So I think it's whoever is going to be able to control the clock, who is going to
Right.
keep the clock running, because we want to keep them off the field. If they
Right.
run 100 plays tomorrow, we don't win that football game.
I agree.
I mean, because they're too
That's
explosive.
why rushing is going to be very, very important.
And Sir Roderick Thompson's back again, and we played him for the last. This will be the fifth time, I think, or fourth time that we played him at running back for them. He's a super explosive dude in the backfield. He's got 5 career touchdowns versus the Mountaineers.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking forward to seeing him again. He can catch it out of the backfield. He's a running threat. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. No matter who suits up the quarterback for them, whether that's Baron Morton, the highly coveted redshirt freshman, whether
Yep.
that is Tyler Shuck is healthy again, the
Yep.
Oregon
I'm hearing
transfer.
C.J. Donaldson and Sean Martin are going to be a game time decision as well.
Yeah, Charles Woods is going to
Charles
play, we've been told.
Woods, please be back.
Now, it's hard to say whether it's gamesmanship or coach speak. He did only have surgery just a few weeks ago,
Right.
but I'm told it was a laparoscopic type deal, so we're not
Yeah.
sure if it was super invasive or not. Obviously, he's coming back pretty quick, so it couldn't have been.
Right.
But if we can get 80% of Charles Woods, um, man, it'd be a big shot in the arm to us.
Exactly.
There he is.
We'll talk about we have our stats and analytics guy Tony Altimore with us tonight. Sometimes it's nice to have those stats and analytics. What's going on, Tony?
Hey guys, no, you guys got a big game this week. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It is
Yeah.
a big game. It could be a season-defining game because the schedule does not let up. If we don't win this game, then we have to win all of our home games for us to go 6-6. And those home games include TCU, Oklahoma, and Kansas State. I'm confident that we can beat Oklahoma and Kansas State. I'm not sure about TCU. Well, even Kansas State's going to be good, but we've played them well in Morgantown, kind of like Baylor coming to Morgantown. I was confident we would beat them just because they just don't do well in Morgantown. And recently, that's been the same case with Kansas State. So this is a really important game. If we win this game, then our chances of finishing 7-5 rise significantly. This is a big game for sure.
Yeah, no, I think you guys actually get this one. I mean, the thing is though, is that it's you guys have sorry, you guys have a number of really close, like flip a coin games. And I think this is one of them where and the thing, and this is where I feel so bad for West Virginia fans because a lot of them, we joke, we say, poor WVU fans need a Xanax because they, we can't decide whether it's going to be like the hero moment for Neil Brown or whether we want to fire him. But like a lot of these games are genuine flip a coin games.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
100%.
Well, that's one thing that I talked about in the preseason, because last year, I think maybe 5 of our 6 losses were coin flip 50-50. I think it was 5 coin flip 50-50 football games. And the real emphasis was, if we can flip those 50-50 football games, we have a real shot of having a really good season. We just have not learned how to flip those 50-50 football games yet. We make just enough mistakes to lose, and it's aggravating, very aggravating.
But I mean, the thing is, in all honesty, some of your games, like the difference between, I mean, and it sucks for you guys, but the difference between 10-2 and 6-6 is so razor thin that folks look at it and they get frustrated. But you're not in a situation like Nebraska where they were losing everything.
Right. Exactly right. And I'm looking at Texas Tech and their losses. They lost at NC. Well, all their losses are on the road, but still 27-14. That's not that close. 37-28, kind of close, but not really. 41-31, kind of close, but not really. Our losses have been much closer than that, except for Texas. Except for Texas, we didn't show up in the first half.
Well, let's be honest. If Quinn Ewers plays against Texas Tech, Texas just wipes Texas Tech off the floor.
Right.
So, I honestly, I mean, like, congratulations to them, and they deserve credit for it. But they did not beat the same Texas team that you played.
Well, Quinn Ewers didn't start for Texas as well, but we were on the road, and that was at home for Texas, so that made a difference too. And the problem was the first half we dug ourselves into a 28-7 hole. In the second half, we actually made some pretty good adjustments and won the second half 13-10, but it was too little, too late. In fact, if we would have been able to recover that onside kick, which he had it and then he didn't, which is all you can ask for, to get your hands on the ball on onside kick, that's the goal. And then, recover it. It could have been even closer. Maybe take it to a last drive and see if we can come out with a win or send it to overtime.
And I've done a lot of research on Tech this week, obviously, having a couple of guests, and just they've had an interesting season. They really have. They played 5 straight ranked teams. They haven't been home in almost a month.
Yep.
So they've had a really odd way of things happening for them too, and they feel in Lubbock like they're a really good 3-3 football team. Just like we feel we're a good 3-3 football team. And even though Tony's had to slowly convince me of that, because last week I definitely wasn't as on board with us as I am this week. He had to pretty much convince me that we were going to beat Baylor last week. I just didn't see it. I have to give Tony his props here live. He was right. I was wrong. But so I do feel better about it this week.
Believe in curses. Poor Baylor. They are cursed in Morgantown.
They are. They really, and that came down to the scoop and score and the block point after. Seriously, if those 2 plays don't happen, we don't win.
Right.
And quarterback and everything, but I mean, the thing for you guys is you can just grin, knowing that whatever the things are, those things are going to happen when Baylor comes to town.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
The ghosts of Morgantown.
The thing that I didn't like, number one, people were accusing. Who was the guy that laid the hit on Chapin and knocked him out? Who was that?
That was Moo.
Okay, Moo. You could tell he instantly felt bad after that. And then after the game on all the West Virginia boards, oh man, Neil Brown planned that. Oh, that's what we were trying to do. It's a good thing. That was a good plan. No way.
It was not.
I agree with the targeting because they were going by the letter of the law. But I will say this: it wasn't helmet to helmet; it was shoulder to helmet. But it was a vicious hit. Having said that, it's actually more on Blake Chapin because he was waiting way too late to slide. And from what I'm hearing from Baylor fans before this, maybe at the beginning of the year or something, he was actually getting jumped on for sliding too soon. So he adjusted that, and I guess he didn't find the happy medium. and he was waiting too late because there was a play before that where he slid, and they almost knocked him out on that play. I was like, man, if he keeps doing that, that's not good at all. I even, I did a live show on that, and I don't like seeing that. I know Mumu didn't mean to do it. If you watch still shots of that play, Mumu was down in the tackle position. Chapin was standing up.
Yep.
He was still standing up when Mumu was in the tackle position. That's how
Right.
late Chapin slid. You cannot adjust that quickly.
Exactly. That's
not
my entire argument.
Not a dirty play.
You've got kids that are running anywhere between, especially to make a tackle, between 16, 18, 19 miles per hour.
Right.
And so you're asking these kids to adjust on the fly at that speed when the strike zone is moving. And it's just not something that is easy to do. And it's not something you can really practice because it's a game thing. Right. It's in a game situation when you're doing it.
And on the flip side, there was a play in the Tennessee-Alabama game where the guy, number one, he launched himself up. Number two, he made helmet-to-helmet contact. And number three, he hit a defenseless player. So not only did he hit one of those criteria, which is all it takes, he hit all three, and no targeting, no ejection. How can we get this rule, judged on the same level everywhere?
I want to burn down Pac-12 headquarters over some of these issues after last week. So I'm a bad one to ask about this.
I got you. Before we go any further, everybody watching, please hit the like button. That's what helps these videos the most. I'm telling you, that's what helps these videos hit the YouTube algorithm, and then YouTube suggests it more, and that's how we grow our audience. So if you haven't hit the like button, please do so. We greatly appreciate that. And if you have a question or a comment and you want to get our attention, best way to do that is the super chat button. It's that little $ surrounded by a heart down there on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Anything you put in that super chat, we will throw on the screen. All three of us will try to answer the question, discuss the comment, or you want to brag about your team, trash your rival, or make fun of me. Trust me, I got thick skin. You can make fun of me. We appreciate your support so much that even if you're making fun of me, we'll still throw it on the screen and read it. I got thick skin. I can handle it. So I have a feeling this is going to be a high-scoring game. Is that the consensus around the room?
Last check, the over/under is up in almost 70. So yeah,
66 I think is last check. That's high. That is high.
And another thing is Texas Tech's a touchdown favorite, -7.
Now they're -6. That's gone down.
Also, some money came back in on West Virginia.
Yep.
Started at 4.
Yep.
That's moved.
Fluctuated a lot.
Yeah.
I don't see it reaching 9. Probably not even 8. It might fluctuate up to 7, 7.5. But that's about right. I was thinking 5 or 6, something like that. And it's going to be a close game. And I think West Virginia has enough advantages to pull this out because, all right, so both these teams score a lot of points per game. West Virginia, 39 points per game, which is 20th, I believe. And Texas Tech scores 34.3 points per game, which is top 30. Points allowed. Both of these teams allow a lot of points. West Virginia allows 31.3 and Texas Tech allows 29.8. So I think our offense is more explosive than their offense. And I think our defenses are the same. I think that's going to be a wash. I think this will come down to the offenses. So when you look into the offensive numbers, we rush the ball more and they pass the ball more. And our defense is better at covering the rush, and their defense is better at covering the pass. So our strengths are against their weaknesses, and their strengths are against our weaknesses. And I think our weaknesses are lower than their weaknesses. This is going to come down to who makes the least amount of mistakes. And if we can turn them over like we turned Baylor over, we might blow them out. If we have a game like we did against Virginia Tech, we could blow them out. Now, if we don't turn them over, that's when it can get close, and that's when we can lose. We have to create turnovers.
I think you're exactly right. I think excuse me, sorry. Mistakes are going to be huge in this game. Making them or not making them is going to really dictate who wins.
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and Lubbock's a tough place to play. I think
It is.
they've been talking about the winds all week long. You know, it's a swirly wind atmosphere there in Lubbock. They get those gusts up into the 15, 16 mile an hour range. And sometimes just what side of the field, which end zone are you going heading towards can matter in a game like this.
Right.
And back to something you guys mentioned at the beginning about Neil Brown. I think either way he's got a shovel in his hand. It's just is he taking the dirt out of the grave or is he putting it into the grave?
Yep.
Uh, and I really just I can't help but root for the guy. Um, just can't help but root for him. I really hope that this next stretch for us goes well for several reasons. Obviously, I want to keep this recruiting class together. I've been in contact with a few of these recruits here lately. I've actually got a pretty big announcement. I've got a player that's planning on flipping to West Virginia that's going to do it live on my show.
Nice.
So we're just waiting. I guess he has to talk to his family about that, so I won't say who it is yet. But so there's a lot of stuff going on, and Neil Brown being at the helm has a lot to do with these things. So,
well, I think that's
really
one thing
hope
that the fans
keeps
aren't
going.
looking at because they're, oh man, we go 5-7, we go 6-6. He's got to be gone. There's more to it than that, and I'm guilty of it too. We're all guilty of it. Knee-jerk reactions. The bum's got to be fired. Stuff like that. But then, you start really thinking about it. Put a few days behind you after the loss, and there's a lot of problems if you fire Neil Brown. Even if you wait till the end of the season. Number one, you have to start all over again, and it could take another 3-4 years to get out of this situation. Number two, we have a great recruiting class coming in that could fall apart. Number three, even though the buyout does go down, it's still $16.5 million. And I know they can do payments like $5 million, 6.5, whatever. But still, that's money out of West Virginia's pocket, and you got to pay the new head coach. So I know it's difficult, and I don't want to see West Virginia go 5-7, but no matter what, West Virginia, and this is going to sound absolutely crazy, West Virginia can lose the rest of our games. He's not going to get fired, guys. We're going to want it. We'll be sick of this. I don't think we lose the rest of our games. I'm just going, hyperbole. But if we do, he's not getting fired, and it's because of all those reasons.
And I think the other thing too is look at. Even if you were to lose a bunch of your games, you look at how you lose their games.
Right.
Every so often a team has these, the incredibly unlucky season. The difference is Scott Frost had like 4 of them, and so you sense there's a bigger problem. Joe Paterno had a year, and I'm forgetting which year it is. I don't know, like maybe like 2005 or something, where Penn State was like 3-8, and like 5 of those losses were actually bad referee calls.
Oh.
Yeah. It's actually the season that caused the creation of instant replay.
Yeah. Well, even last year, Penn State had that. Remember, it started off with that questionable 2-point conversion by Indiana that won the game and beat Penn State, and that kind of set them into motion to have not a good season.
Exactly.
That's a great and I've been watching West Virginia football. This is my 34th year watching West Virginia football. I would say 20 of those years have been unlucky. I'm not counting the bad seasons. There's bad seasons that are separate. I'm talking straight up unlucky.
You guys do have some curses of luck. I will say that. You have some curses of luck. But the thing is, when you evaluate Neil Brown and you look at game, like I always look at it and think about, I don't want to fault him so much for the Pitt or the Kansas loss, and then I also don't want to give him all the credit in the world for the Baylor win.
Right, that's fair.
But at the same time, I think he's doing a pretty solid job for you guys.
Yeah, I guess the biggest issues are the turnovers and are the stupid penalties. That's the one thing that I'm like, my gosh, dude, this is your 4th year. You should have the discipline already installed. You should already have, the system installed. We should not be making. I can understand year 1 and even year 2. We should not be making these mistakes in year 4.
But there's also something to be said for the fact that, I mean, Kansas State, Iowa State, Baylor, and Texas Tech historically are some terrible football programs.
They are.
And they're actually all pretty good this year. And like that kind of sucks because like again, Kansas State is one of the losingest teams in all of history. Same with Kansas. So like all of a sudden, okay, well, these teams are decent, and so you don't get those nice padded easy wins. It's like every week is tough.
Yeah, exactly. Well, before Bill Snyder, Kansas State was the number one worst team historically in the nation.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And
Baylor
after Bill Snyder too.
Yeah, Baylor. People forget how bad Baylor was there for a while. They were bad.
Oh yeah, they had one of the worst stretches in history through the 90s.
I mean, they got out with tarps. And whenever they did start having success, and they built a new stadium, and the last game they had a taking off the tarp ceremony. The first time that tarp had been taken off that side of the end zone because they actually sold out. Because they had been so bad, they had tarped off the end zone. That's how bad they were. Imagine West Virginia being so bad that we have to tarp the end zone over the weight room. I don't ever see that happening because our fans are too loyal. But still, that would be bad. Really bad.
Or imagine UCLA and you had to tarp over both of your upper decks and both of your end zones,
and they're undefeated. I don't understand. People have given me all the excuses about UCLA. It's a 3-hour drive for 15.
I don't want to talk about that.
15 miles, and there's a lot of other things to do, and there's a bunch of other teams above UCLA. But my gosh, they're undefeated. Can you at least halfway fill it up? Like, I'm not asking for full capacity. Can you at least halfway fill it up?
Well, and to be clear, halfway full is more people than what Baylor, Texas Tech, Iowa State, like more people than their stadiums hold.
It's true.
I mean, they have more tarps than
It'd be right around 45,000. Right around 45,000, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Back to West Virginia.
Well, I was just thinking about Baylor, and I think the greatest thing that ever happened to him was Robert Griffin III. You know,
that changed the program.
That changed the entire, and then obviously Art Briles. Robert Griffin III made Baylor cool. You had the dreads hanging out the helmet. They ran that RPO system before anybody ever thought it was It wasn't really that popular. Then he sets the all-time completion percentage mark in college.
And winning the Heisman.
Goes and has a fantastic rookie year with Washington, and makes the Pro Bowl. So Baylor was hot because of that, and they were able to sell that.
The rest of the country is finally learning too how he is just an awesome guy. Like, I don't know if you guys know this. He used to have problems with his accounting at Baylor because he was actually on an academic scholarship. And so he had like issues with like his academic scholarship conflicting with his football scholarship in like NCAA accounting. But he's just an awesome guy. I don't know if you guys saw last week, he went to Stanford and he didn't have anything to do on Friday night. So he joined the Stanford band and then ended up the next day marching into the stadium with them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like he's just such a really cool guy. And I think you're right. I think Paul, I think you hit it on the head. He gave a personality to them that they continue to ride today, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. He's their Patrick Mahomes, and that's just what it is. Now, speaking of that, I did a pretty cool video. I want to plug my channel real quick, guys. We haven't had a chance to do that yet, have we?
No, you're good.
Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. If you guys aren't subscribed over there, I ask you to try to get over there and get subscribed up. If you're a Big 12 college football fan, I cover the Big 12. I also going to cover college basketball this coming season. I'm going to be doing a Big 10, Big 12 with a friend of mine who's a Michigan State fan. We're going to be covering both conferences. But anyway, I did a video with a guy from Viva the Matadors, and we talked about who is the greatest quarterback in Texas Tech history. Is it Patrick Mahomes or is it Graham Harrell? And it was a really fun video to do. And when you look at the numbers, Graham Harrell blows Patrick Mahomes out of the water in every statistical category. Now, we're talking about Texas Tech history. We're not talking about the NFL.
So I am leaning towards a certain walk-on quarterback who only played for his freshman year before becoming an assistant coach. A quarterback from Muleshoe by the name of Lincoln Riley. He's my favorite.
Yeah,
I wonder why.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield was technically there for a season as well.
He was. He was.
Yeah. I would go Graham Harrell. And
another walk-on, wasn't
he? He benefited from
another walk-on.
Yeah. How about a high five for those Texas Tech walk-on quarterbacks?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
they're blessed.
Think about it. The combination of Mike Leach and Graham Harrell, man, that was a perfect recipe right there.
And Michael Crabtree.
Yes. I remember so many moments with him. The win against number 1 Texas with that catch, man, that was crazy.
Yeah. And I was talking to Jack earlier this week, and he writes for Texas Tech, for a website that I don't know if they're affiliated or not with Tech, but they're obviously big Tech people. And I mean, he was just swelling with pride when we brought up these talking points, because similar to us, they were similarly as good as we were back in 07 and 08.
Yep.
And so the same kind of pride we feel about those 07 and 08 teams they feel. And they actually lost to that Oklahoma-led Sam Bradford team that ran into a West Virginia buzzsaw in the Fiesta Bowl. Yeah, but they got killed by them. So, I had to bring that up on there.
Yeah.
We may or may not have beat them guys by 20.
Big 12 has always been the way it is now. Like, it's a buzzsaw in and of itself. So, whenever a team, and it's always been, whenever a team won the Big 12, they were a really good team because you have to survive a brutal schedule every single year. And I know for the most part, every year, Kansas has been a gimme win, except for 07 and that little gap right there. And then this year, they started off great, but they've had some bad injuries. And that was another thing I want to talk about. Like, look, I don't wish injuries on anybody, ever. I hate that. But man, we had to play Kansas at full strength, and now the rest of the season, it's possible that Kansas could miss a bowl because they don't have their starting quarterback and they're thin on quarterback now, and that schedule gets tough because that offense was Jaden Daniels. I mean, that's what that offense was. It was layer after layer after layer of the same person, and he could do it all. And we got him at full strength. So I'm like, man, we had to play him at full strength with one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12, and now the rest of these jokers get to play, same old Kansas.
Jason Bean.
Yeah, guys, can we call them what they really are? They're the wonderful, sweet Make-A-Wish kids. Unfortunately, you guys got to be the height of the Make-A-Wish. You guys were the wish.
Yep.
Everyone else gets them back in the hospital with cancer. You guys got the Make-A-Wish.
That's right. That's exactly right. And even Pitt, they were looking good at the beginning of the season. Even almost beat Tennessee, and look what Tennessee's turned into. And then they've kind of faltered, here recently, lost to freaking Georgia Tech. I'm like, that Pitt right there, we would have smoked, but they're not the same. Like, how is this a team not the same? Like, it blows my same thing with Miami. Like, that loss to Texas A&M changed Miami. I mean, they lost to Middle Tennessee right after, and then North Carolina. And they barely, and I'm talking barely, beat Virginia Tech on the road, who we blasted. So it's crazy how teams really change throughout the season. I understand teams getting better. So at the beginning, they don't look the same at the end, but some teams get worse, and you're just like,
they do.
What happened?
They do. And you guys got to Make-A-Wish kid. They got to have game day. They announced now here's an interesting thing. They announced this $300 million renovation of their stadium and building a new stadium district. All this. Let's just point out they were in such a rush to do that. They didn't even bother to roll out any plans. If you look at the website, there's no pictures.
Nope.
They literally just were like, yeah, we have game day. Let's do it.
Hey, we have game day. We're super hot. Is there any renditions? No. Oh, we're good. Let's do it. We're good. Don't worry about that. We'll get to it.
I mean, they could have at least pulled out the pictures of the last few times. And by the way, let's also remember that they've announced these plans several times before and not done it.
Wow.
Les Miles was pushing for it.
Yeah, 2000. I mean, they have all these 2017 renderings of a beautiful stadium for Kansas.
Oh, I have seen that. Yes, yes.
Yeah, that never happened.
Well, I've looked at those, and basically all they were doing was creating edges to a bowl. Like, honestly, yes, it looked better, and the luxury suites and all that stuff, it looked better. But if you looked at the before and the after, you're like, basically all they did was create edges to make it more boxy.
Well, but I think they were also getting rid of
which they are outdated with that horseshoe thing they got going on. I don't know.
Was it also to get rid of all the porta potties and actually make it a real stadium?
Hey, we're announcing a $100 million renovation. We have bathrooms. That's our renovation.
Yeah, they need it.
Yes, definitely. I think whenever I thought of whenever they made that announcement, and I do this with everybody whenever they announce expansion or renovations or whatever, and I think it would be cool if Kansas did the rendition of 2017 and edged it off, because I did like the look, but then created maybe like a small upper deck over the enclosed side of the end zone. Nothing big, because I mean, it's Kansas football. You're not going to have a massive stadium and sell it out, but something that'll add maybe 5,000-7,000 fans and just make it look better. It would kind of remind you of Vaught Hemingway, Ole Miss Stadium. That's kind of like what they did. And I think Kansas, their stadium will look pretty cool if they did that.
Yeah. Back to what we were talking about with Kansas and how we got their best shot. There's evidence to support it if you listen to Neil Brown's press conference. So here's how it's set up, just basically the worst possible scenario for us. So we had to prepare for the reigning ACC champions all offseason, correct? Yep. Kansas got to prepare for an FCS opponent. And so the theory is that they were, because they didn't even play, so they ran a spread passing attack versus this FCS opponent.
Right.
And so when we played them, they unveiled a completely new offense that we had never seen. And so they had an entire offseason to prepare that. So you want to talk about getting hit with your pants down.
Yeah.
They didn't even prepare for the FCS team all offseason. They prepared for us while we prepared for Pitt. So
exactly right.
You factor that in, and then just the Josh Chandler-Samito leaves, transfers to Colorado in the middle of the defense. We've got a brand new linebacking core, almost all brand new, and by that time Charles Woods is hurt. A brand new secondary, recipe for disaster, stunts, fits, not matching up. And there you go, 55 points.
Yep. Well, but the cool thing was, West Virginia was up by, 2 touchdowns, and then Kansas scored
in the beginning,
unanswered touchdowns, and they went up 2 touchdowns. So the one bright spot that I would take out of that is our guys did battle back and send it to overtime. We had a chance.
Oh yeah, absolutely did.
You could tell that we were not stopping them. We were just going to somehow have to outscore them, and that didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, if somebody scores 55 on you, you're going to lose more than you win.
Oh yeah, definitely, of course. I think
against
Texas Tech, we have got to make sure the middle of our defense is shored up. And me and Paul were talking about this before we went live. Our size at linebacker is pathetic. What were we doing in the offseason? Okay, even if we weren't getting, we didn't have the recruits, hit that daggum transfer portal. There had to have been some linebackers, even if they're not highly graded, a 3-star or whatever. We needed some size, because Jasir Cox, that dude is tiny. He needs to be at safety. Lance Dixon, he's not all that big. We need some size at linebacker. We have some decent speed. We don't have the size at linebacker. We have linebackers that were good in FCS, but the size difference from FCS to FBS is tremendous. Think about this. This is what it boils down to. We have FCS size at the linebacker position. Let that sink in. That's not good.
Right. Well, X3 Lowe has been playing a lot here the last few weeks. He's not the biggest guy, but he at least knows the system.
Right. He's definitely the most consistent.
I think the guys are improving. They have to. There's really no choice.
Yeah. We need to
I
find
have some
another. Who was the guy that transferred from Arizona? Tony Mathis.
Tony Mathis. That's our running back. You want Tony Fields?
Yeah, Tony Fields. Yes, Tony Fields. That dude was a diamond in the rough. That dude was a great
Right.
hitter,
Yeah.
great coverage. We need to try to find a diamond in the rough like Tony Fields. That guy was
Well,
amazing.
good luck. Yeah, he's a great player. I'm just looking at some notes I had from the other day, and it's just kind of a rundown of what this game kind of means to us and to them when you really break it down. All like Tony Caridi always says, there's always a West Virginia connection, right?
Yep.
So Neil Brown is the offensive coordinator with Tommy Tuberville at head coach from 2010 to 2012. Obviously, this is a Graham Hale's return. He threw for 5,705 yards in 2007. He threw for 15,793 career passing yards, 134 touchdowns. Total yards is over 15,000. His father, Sam Harrell, was an early mentor for – who did I write there? JM. I don't even know who that is. That's my shorthand.
I've done that before.
A couple of the players that are notable. So Adrian Fry and Sir Roderick Thompson have been playing at Texas Tech as long as Neil Brown has coached at West Virginia. And so this is both of their fourth time playing us, along with Neil Brown's four-time coaching. The defensive end, Texas Tech, who is graded as a day one, possibly day two pick, Tyree Wilson. He is fourth in the country in tackles for loss and has 6 sacks on the season. So that'll be somebody we have to really look out for. And their best receiver is hurt. We're not sure if he's going to play or not yet. They haven't announced that.
Yeah. Take extra time, man. Heal. Don't rush it. Don't rush it, man. Don't rush it. Take your time. If you don't feel 100%, don't take the field, all right? Don't risk it. It's not worth it. Not at all. I think another key for West Virginia to win this game is what I mentioned earlier. They don't defend the run very well, and we know that C.J. Donaldson is a game-time decision, but we saw Tony Mathis basically take over the game against Baylor. So I think the game plan going into this needs to be we need to run the ball effectively, don't get behind the chains, but don't try to outplay call them as far as number of plays. Texas Tech is going to do that. Let them do that, all right? Give your defense a break as long as possible. Rush the ball, wear their defense out. Honestly, I think the rushing game is what's going to determine if we win or not. I think that's how simple this comes down to. I know the middle of the defense and all that stuff, but rushing is going to be make or break for us. If we can't rush the ball, we're losing. It's simple as that.
Yeah. My shorthand, I figured it out. So it was Sam Harrell, obviously Graham Harrell's dad, who was a really famous high school football coach, was an early mentor for Joey McGuire. That's what it was. So there's always a West Virginia connection, Tony.
Is he the current Texas Tech head coach?
He is, yeah.
Yes, that's what I thought. Who was the guy that got fired before? Matt Wells. I was kind of confused about that because I think that was Wells' third or fourth season, and when they fired him, they had 5 wins, and then they only won one more win after that. And this year, Texas Tech definitely doesn't look better than what they did last year. Maybe not even the same. Do you think that could have been a mistake? Maybe they pulled the cord a little too soon, or pulled the plug?
I don't know, because they played 5 ranked teams in a row, man. That's brutal, and they're 3-3 coming out of that. You come out of 5 ranked teams in a row, 3-3. You've got to land on we're a pretty good football team. I mean, you know what I mean? So, and look at the schedule. Look who they played. They played Kansas State. They played Texas. I mean, they played really good football teams. They went on the road and played NC State. They have been tested. They were battle tested for sure.
Yeah.
And even though they've come up short in some of those games, I'm sure they gained really valuable experience.
I think that's one thing that's very similar between Texas Tech and West Virginia. I think West Virginia is battle tested as well. Like even Kansas, they were ranked full strength on the road to Texas. This past game against Baylor was big. Baylor, if we would have played them in Waco, we were probably losing because Baylor's a good football team. And then the first game of the year, Pitt was good. In that game, Pitt was a good football team. So I think in that area, both of our teams are very battle tested, and it does kind of bother me that this is in Lubbock. That could be one of the deciding factors. I think if this was in Morgantown, I'd feel a lot better about this. Right. But as long as we come out focused and no hangover from the Baylor win, if we would have lost to Baylor, then I would be very, very concerned about this game because one thing that I've seen from Neil Brown is hangover after hangover after hangover. Last year, we had a great shot of beating Oklahoma on the road. We came up a field goal short. Then the next game, we don't score a single point in the first half against Texas Tech. Now, we came back and tied it, but they won.
Yeah, that's 16 to 13 loss.
There's a popping sound with somebody. There's a popping sound with somebody.
My cats. I apologize. I forgot to turn the noise my noise cancellation. I forgot to turn it on.
I got you.
They're over here playing with the water bottle I threw down.
Oh, I got cats too, man. They're crazy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm only a 37-year-old male that lives alone with 2 cats.
Ain't no shame in that, man. Ain't no shame in that.
I know, but there's a stigma around it, So,
yeah,
but I don't really care.
Man. Just rise above it. You'll be all right, man. But yeah, West Virginia just seems to the biggest thing that's bothered me is not just the mistakes, but when we commit those mistakes. There were some mistakes in the Baylor game that probably should have cost us the football game. I mean, so we intercept the ball and JT Daniels, I'd say 90% of the time, accurate. And most of the drops and incompletes are on the receivers. But there's about 3 or 4 throws every game that you're like, I don't know about that.
He trusts his arm, man. And he's like very similar to a Brett Favre or a Baker Mayfield or somebody that's got a stronger arm. He really trusts it. And Baylor was wearing those all-white uniforms, man. And I get, they were what's called a stacked coverage. Yeah. And so he didn't see there was 2 players there. He explained it at the press conference, but obviously a bonehead mistake on his part. Here's the other thing that did. Listening to Mike Casaza and Chris Anderson after the game, the West Virginia writers for Ear Sports, they said that they believed that he was 0 for 8 on rollouts to his right this year, which is just an odd stat.
Roll them out right then.
It should, but I mean, that's usually a strength for quarterbacks. Virginia
should go all white for this game too. Maybe that'll mess up their.
We are all white.
All white.
We're playing in the Country Roads uniforms again.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, they unveiled those yesterday.
Heard it here first. I called it. I didn't even know about it.
But
So, wait. So we're wearing. Are we wearing this helmet?
That's it.
Nice.
Oh, this is nasty.
I like it. I haven't seen it all white though. I've seen the white jerseys and the blue bottoms, but I haven't seen it all white. I'll be very interested to see them go all white.
They might be yellow bottoms. I'll have to let me look real quick.
I don't know about that. That would be.
I could be wrong. Let me look.
I never liked the white bottoms or the yellow bottoms with white top. Like if you're gonna wear a white top, either wear blue bottoms or white bottoms. Yellow bottoms.
Seems like it seems like our gold changed when Dana came. Don't you think our gold, like that, the gold you have in your hat right there, is not the same yellow that Dana put on us. It's like a brighter.
I actually think that changed. Bill Stewart, I'm thinking around the Bill Stewart era, because it was like that before. But I know what you're talking about. But I think the changes
like a mustard
a little bit earlier. Yeah, exactly.
It's really weird.
Well, people don't realize that.
I know. I see.
Changed.
As a Michigan native from USC, I'm partial to the gold pants and the white shirt.
Oh yeah. We do have a very similar color scheme.
Well, you guys are the same as Cal. You guys are Cal's twin. in a lot of your uniforms.
What do y'all call your red? Do you call it scarlet, burgundy, mahogany?
We call it cardinal.
Cardinal. Okay,
Yeah.
cardinal.
Yeah,
I always
USC
get roasted because I say
USC.
burgundy for basically any shade of maroon or dark red, whatever you want to call it. Oh no, man, that's scarlet. Oh no, man, that is burgundy. Oh no, man, that's maroon. Oh no, man, that's cardinal. I'm like, my gosh, I have not memorized all the shades of red. Relax.
Arizona
man,
State
that's
has more of a
crimson. That's
burgundy.
crimson. You should know that. That's crimson.
Well, the Cardinals actually, when Stanford had to change their name from the Indians, they chose Cardinal because that was their colors. They were copying Harvard because Harvard's the crimson. So Stanford decided they would be the Cardinal.
I got you.
And then they got a tree.
Why are they a tree, anyways?
There's a tree. The school is actually built on a farm.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I don't like the yellow bottoms. No.
Oh, I do.
Right.
I think they look good. I think they look good.
They look pretty good.
I think they look good.
I like the blue or the whites. Anyways, what were you saying, Tony?
Don't get rid of the yellow shirts, though. Nobody should ever play in yellow jerseys.
I'm okay with that. Whites and blues for the tops. I'm okay with that.
Are you a traditionalist?
Me?
I know Tony probably is.
No. I love all the different helmets, but it's certain combos that I don't like. And white with the gold or yellow is it's not my favorite. I like either contrasting, dark with light, or all the same, but not light with kind of light. Like yellow and white, they're both lights, and I don't like it. It doesn't pop. And I hate the font. I hate the font that our numbers and our freaking letters are.
Yeah,
I hate it. I cannot stand it.
Yeah. I will say I'm really digging. I'm watching right now the Harvard Princeton game, and I'm really digging these Harvard uniforms. Actually, look really good.
Are they good?
The Harvard uniforms look really good. Yeah, they're black jerseys with red numbers with big bold white outlines, red helmets, and red pants, and then black tights.
It's not bad.
Harvard sort of like started adding black to their. They used to be like.
Harvard's got a great color scheme.
They do.
They really do. They're their basketball uniforms.
They look good too.
Man.
Don't they?
Yes.
But our font for our letters and numbers, that has to be addressed. It looks terrible. I don't know who chose that. I'd rather have freaking cursive numbers than that crap.
Wait, can I ask a really dumb West Virginia question for you guys? You guys in the chat will probably crucify me for this. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What?
Do you guys, when you have your third down stops, are they playing Phantom of the Opera?
No.
It is, isn't it? Dun, 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 dun. That's totally Phantom of the Opera.
Maybe it is.
I think it is.
I thought you were talking about the bell. My bad.
Hell's Bells.
No, the dun, 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 that they play. That's totally Phantom of the Opera. I was kind of.
It might be. I've never paid attention to that.
For that.
That's pretty cool, though.
Pride of West Virginia has been known to play stuff like that, Star Wars, not just for halftime shows, but like for actual game time stuff. Yeah, in the stands.
That's the Pac-12 coming out. I need to notice that.
Yeah, I did. Oh, it did. Well, because like Florida State has the Tomahawk Chop, we have tribute to Troy, and I was like, West Virginia's got Phantom of the Opera. I'm like, Andrew Lloyd Webber would probably be like, never thought of it that way, and I like it.
Well, me and Paul and even Coos definitely, we've talked about how our entrance needs to be spiced up a lot, because it's the biggest pushback is from like the older Mountaineer fans. Oh, that's the way it's always been. And college football is changing. It's always the same. It's the band comes out, they do the outline of the state, then they do the video, and then they shoot the musket, and then the players come out, which is okay if it's like 1995. But we need something like we need some better entrance music. And I was really impressed by Thunderstruck and the way that Pitt executed their entrance. I'm gonna be honest, and this isn't just me like trolling Pitt. I was expecting Pitt to not have a good entrance. Like Pitt's known for not supporting their team and their atmosphere, not all that great. But wow, that entrance got the place hopping. Thunderstruck hit hard. They had nice lights in the tunnels that they were coming out. Ours is just bland. We need to find a good tune, entrance tune. Like Virginia Tech has Sandman, Pitt now has Thunderstruck, even freaking South Carolina has Sandstorm. We need to find something iconic that everybody's going to remember.
I agree.
And there's two that I like, and I know we already play Hell's Bells for third down just for the bell toll, but I like the beginning of Hell's Bells and the Metallica song as well. And it's both of those. I really love the beginning, and that's what we need, something that just absolutely jacks up our crowd. And our crowd, it doesn't take much to hype our crowd up, because I mean they do pretty good with the one we have now.
They've had enough moonshine. They're good to go.
With an entrance like that, oh man,
that'd be cool. Well, I'll tell you, we had an interesting discussion about this last night. We had an interview actually on the Mark Rogers channel with the USC drum major, and he talked about how they're doing more to integrate like the DJ and some live music and stuff. And one of the things that I was thinking about is that for a lot of these bands, the songs that they play were, they've been playing them for 30 years, and they were like a contemporary, like fun pop song when they started playing them 35 years ago. And so it's really not breaking tradition to sometimes say, you know what, we need to update that. Like one of the songs USC
Absolutely.
is In the Stone by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, that's a good one.
Great song. But you know what? Like sometimes you kind of update. Earth,
Yeah.
Wind, and Fire is a little old now.
Yeah, or even go R&B or rap. You know what I mean? There's some good R&B and rap songs out there that, because you got to think about, like, you want to gear this towards not only fans but also recruiting. If there's a 4 or 5 star recruit in the stands that's 18 years old, most likely he listens to The Baby, or he listens to somebody like that.
Well,
somebody,
and then the students are the big thing, because the students are what give your stadium the energy.
Right, that's true too.
And so you gear it to the students, and then that gives the stadium the energy that it needs. And I mean, probably in 1981, I bet Earth, Wind, and Fire gave a lot of energy. And
in 1981.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I understand the traditionalist argument, but you have to bend in certain areas. And an entrance, I don't think people realize how important an entrance is. It can kind of make up for stuff in games that maybe wouldn't have the energy that the team needs to win the game, because a lot of ingredients have to come together for some wins. Now, some wins you're just the better team, and it is what it is. But
what would you think
about? You need an extra kick. You need an extra kick, and that can be the extra kick.
What would you think about a popular heavy metal band like maybe Five Finger Death Punch or somebody like that remaking Country Roads and playing that for us?
That would be Five Finger Death Punch is actually one of my favorite. Avenged Sevenfold, I think, would do a good rendition of it as well.
You guys, actually, that would be super cool, because I mean, Fish has remade Rocky Top. So if you remake Country Roads, like that would actually be sweet.
Oh yeah, can you imagine that?
Yeah, but you know what? That goes back to the traditional less argument. They would get blasted for the older West Virginia fans. Oh man, they butchered a great song. Well, we'll still sing the regular song after a home win. We can sing the John Denver version, after a home win. But the beginning and the end are two separate entities. At the beginning, it's time to jump. It's time to get everybody jumping and hyped up. At the end, it's almost like you're relaxing, like, oh man.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to do this. Imagine if you had like a DJ cut in a mix. I mean, you're not going to do this because obviously they do it, but like, imagine a mix of Enter Sandman and Country Roads.
That would be
to get like the crowd going.
Well, think about this. So Brad Paisley did Country Roads at the beginning. What was it? The TCU game a while back?
Yeah.
How much be honest, Paul, be honest. Okay. How much did it actually jack the crowd up?
It was pretty good.
Not as you need to go back and watch that, because it's not as much as you realize. It was good. It was a good rendition, but the way it was afterwards, they got themselves jacked up because the game was. But during the song and then right after the song, it was.
I've never really paid attention. To be honest.
I don't think the energy after that was because of the song, and that goes back to my traditional argument. I'm not against the John Denver one, not at all, not at all. Keep it for after home wins forever. Never change that. But something like that for an entrance is you would have to remix it, like the idea that you had, maybe Five Finger Death Punch or Avenged Sevenfold, or see if a hip hop rock rendition will work out. Just try to come up with the best rendition to really get the crowd jacked up.
Well, not everybody can have the pregame stab like UFC does.
Yeah, that's true. That is
such
true.
a good, and oh man, they've got so much tradition when it comes to post game and pregame.
But I'll tell you something also really interesting that the drum major is the guy who does the stab, and we talked with him last night. And what he told us also, which I had stupidly never even really thought about, is we said, is it, you guys, how do you feel about this DJ? And he said, actually, it's great because he said we play after every down, and so when the DJ comes on, we get a breather, we get a break.
There you go. I will say this, and I'm not kissing USC rear end just because Tony is here. I've always felt this way. My favorite fight song is the USC fight song.
They have Fight On's great, and
Fight On
they have Fight On. They have Tribute to Troy, and they have Conquest. We almost basically.
And then Michigan is probably.
Well, then I don't know which one I'm talking about because it's the one that sounds like you're marching and about to go to war. That's the one I'm.
Oh, that's Tribute to Troy.
Okay, that's the one. That's my favorite one. Then right there.
That one. Oh, okay.
Andre King had a $5 donation. Appreciate that, and same with corn-fed covers. I noticed, guys. I see you there. Appreciate it.
And Paul, I agree with you. The Victors is a great song.
Yes. Such a great song. Think about the Pac-12, though, man. There's so many great entrances in the Pac-12. You think about the Oregon Duck on the Harley. That's a great entrance.
And
then Helmy at Arizona State. That's a great entrance.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great. And Dubs the dog at Washington.
Dubs the dog.
And
as bad as Colorado is, a live Buffalo.
Colorado.
My gosh. That's insane.
Ralphie's the best. He's amazing.
That is insane. Here's what I have to say about West Virginia's fight song. I think it's underrated, and I think if the fans would actually learn it and would sing the fight song like other fan bases do, that it could have an effect on the game. I've gone to games. I know the words. I know it word for word, and I sing it every time they play it. And I'm looking around, and I hear nobody singing. I'm like, do our fans not know our fight song?
They should.
Like the student section, do they not know the fight song? It's not even that long. And it's not that difficult. I learned it in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's really great lines in there. There's not to fear, the gang's all here. So hell, West Virginia, hell. Like the world's against it, but don't be afraid because we got each other. Let's go fight.
Well, that beats Stanford because people don't actually know what their fight song is because their band plays all right. Their band plays all right now instead of their actual fight song.
Oh man!
And so, well, what's really funny is like I think it's Washington. I'm trying to remember who. I think it's Washington has a tradition. They play the other team's fight song before the game.
Tony, I'll let you read this super chat from Joey because this is addressed to you.
The Planets, that's what they play on third down. Is that the dun 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 dun?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe Andrew Lloyd Webber stole it from them.
Never know.
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
It sounds really good. Like I loved how they did it.
Nerds are cool too. I see that.
Have you seen what South Park makes Andrew Lloyd Webber look like?
Oh yes, that's an amazing episode of South Park. That is the funniest episode of South Park.
For some reason, I knew you watched South Park.
Oh man,
I do too.
I love South Park.
I love South Park so much.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Oh God, I love it so much.
So I have a couple questions for you guys. All right, number one, Well, I think we can all agree on this. Is not going to be a question. I think we all agree on this. This is going to be a high-scoring game between West Virginia and Texas Tech, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, unless the turnovers start to happen and it gets ugly. But yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game in like an exciting way, not in one of those like
ridiculous ways.
Those like 1990s like San Diego State versus BYU games that were like 64 to 62.
When Ty Detmer throws for 7,000 yards in a game.
Yeah,
or
Marshall
2012
Falk running
West
for
Virginia
5,000.
Baylor. 2012 West Virginia Baylor. How many stops did the defenses get altogether? Like 2?
0.
It was like 70 to 63 was the final score. My gosh, that was absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So we all think it's going to be a high-scoring game, right? I think I'm going to give my keys to the game real quick. I said it earlier. West Virginia being successful at the running game, that's a must. Keep our defense off the field. Keep them off the field because, like you said earlier, Paul, they like to run up tempo, a lot of plays. So the more we keep them off the field, the more our defense can rest against that high potent offense. And middle of the field, if West Virginia can limit how much we get gashed up the middle, I think we'll do much better. And I did a little bit of scouting, and Baylor likes the middle of the field way more than Texas Tech whenever it comes to passing. So I think that's going to be in our favor. I think they're actually going to throw into our strength, and that's going to be the outside with the corners with safety help instead of up the middle. Now, they like to run up the middle, but they like those hitch corners. They do like the post routes, but that's once you're past the linebackers. So if that routine stays the same, then I like our shot as far as defensively, and we can keep them contained. Keep them contained because they're much better at passing than running. We're actually pretty balanced. I say they're a better passing team, but that's only because they throw it more. That's the only reason why they have a lot more passing yards. Honestly, we're a good passing team because JT Daniels is a good quarterback, but we're very balanced. We run the ball well, and Texas Tech doesn't. So I think that's in our favor. We can make Texas Tech one-dimensional, and I don't think Texas Tech can make West Virginia one-dimensional. I really don't.
I agree with that. Yeah. My keys to the game were definitely, I said it in my show during the week. It's clock control. We can't let them run 100 plays and still win this football game. We've got to get them down into the 70s somehow, in the 70s, 60s in plays. We can do that. We've got a chance to outscore them. But if it's, in my opinion, if it's our offense against their offense, no holds barred, they're a little more explosive than we are in the passing game. They don't have a running game per se, but they got 3 quarterbacks that are potential NFL players. So
I don't think that their passing game is more explosive. I think they just have to pass it more. I think if we were put in the same situation as they were, then our passing would probably be just as explosive as they are. So it's almost like a smokescreen because they rely on the passing more than we do. Now, at the beginning of the season, I would say yes, because our receivers drop. Have you noticed the drops are getting better? Have you noticed that? A lot better. So if that continues to improve as well, I think our passing can be just as explosive, and we don't have to just lean on the passing. We can gash them with the run as well. FSU 45, thank you for the $5 donation. Says, good evening, going to Blue, and everybody else. If West Virginia can get their running game going, ding, 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 and Texas Tech can't stop it, we will win. 100% agree. I agree with that. Go Mountaineers. West Virginia 41, Texas Tech 37. That's a good score prediction too. I like that as well.
I like that FSU 45.
My score prediction earlier in the week was 36-31 West Virginia. The first game I picked West Virginia in over 2 weeks. And so does have something to do with that.
You guys, I'm poisoning. I'm getting to him. I'm winning him over in favor of the Mountaineers.
I'm going to say 40-31, something like that. I think, and I know that's a 9-point win, but I mean, that's still a close game. And it could turn into, we stretch to 9, they cut it to 2, something like that. And it just turns out 9-point win. But I'm liking 40-31. That's going to be my score prediction.
You know what, FSU 45. I'll take your pick. I'll stick with
Hey,
yours.
there you go.
By the way, a side laugh. We're sorry, I'm coughing, guys. We're laughing at Colorado earlier. I was just looking at this Princeton quarterback who's tearing it up against Harvard right now.
Yeah.
Transfer to Princeton. And
Wow.
where did he transfer from? Colorado.
Oh. Hey, can you believe Colorado beat Cal last week? Let me put it in context real quick before we get out of here. Colorado, their closest loss. They hadn't won a game. They were 0-5. All right.
I didn't think they would win one either.
Was by 23 to Arizona. Before that, all 4 of their losses were by 25 or more. So their closest loss was by 23, and they beat Cal. And Cal gave Notre Dame all that they could handle.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Because the Pac-12 going to Pac-12.
I'll give Colorado credit, by the way.
Yeah.
I looked at the attendance, and it was over capacity. An
It was
0-5 team playing freaking Cal went 300 over capacity.
It was. That's actually, I agree with you. And I'll tell you also, there's something to be said. So they got their new coach, their interim coach, who's pretty good. What's his name? Sean Iguana with Arizona State.
Yeah.
The famous high school coach who came in, brought discipline, brought organization, everything Herm Edwards didn't have.
Yep.
And it all reminds me as well. I'm a huge fan of Joey McGuire at Texas Tech.
Same thing.
Stuff. Yeah. And I give some credit because it's saying, hey, sometimes instead of the very cerebral, NFL coordinators, I'll tell you, Paul Hackett, father of Nathaniel Hackett, was the worst coach that I can think of in USC history, and was just sort of that very cerebral NFL coordinator. And there's something to be said for the great high school coaches over guys like that.
Yep. Hey, Tony, did you see my my score prediction video today that I did in front of Clemson's football stadium? I do one every year. The first year I opened up the season, and then
I saw it.
Georgia
I
Tech,
just
Clemson.
saw it on YouTube.
Last year was Georgia Clemson, and then I missed a great opportunity with NC State because they were undefeated at Clemson. But fortunately, Syracuse is undefeated, so it worked out.
Is Syracuse this week's Make-A-Wish kid? We now have to go back to the cancer ward.
They have a few injuries, so you might be right. And I'll tell you one thing: Syracuse is better than I thought, but they've also benefited from terrible refs against Purdue.
Yeah,
and then,
Purdue deserved that game.
Not having their starting quarterback. That's
100%.
That's why they were able to blow out NC State. They did not have Devin Leary.
I think you are totally right on that.
But Syracuse always plays Clemson very, very close, even when they're bad. And so even though they're banged up right now, they're still much better than the Syracuses that have beaten Clemson in the past. And Clemson's probably about the same. So I know it's at Clemson, but Syracuse always plays them close. So I give Syracuse a puncher's chance for sure. I think Clemson wins, but I don't think they cover. The spread is 13.5. I think they win by 10 points or less. Real quick, before we get out of here, guys, did y'all want to add any more about what we'll do is I'll let y'all add whatever you want to add about West Virginia, Texas Tech, and then we'll end the show by doing last words.
No, I just think it's going to be an interesting game. It's a sleepy kickoff time. Thankfully, our boys got there a little earlier this week. I think they got there yesterday, maybe.
Yeah.
So they should get acclimated to the time. Hopefully, Neil Brown can get a win against Texas Tech, a team he coached for. I've heard that Graham Harrell is going to be honored in some way at the game, whether it be halftime or post or pregame or whatnot. He deserves it.
Wow.
And congratulations to him if indeed they do that.
That's actually really cool if they do that.
That's really cool. I'm surprised about that. All right, gentlemen. So I have a tradition and a routine that I do over my live shows that's kind of spilled over onto this. And so with my last words or y'all's last words of the show, you don't have if you want to talk about your team, Tony, USC or the Pac-12, you know the drill. It doesn't have to be West Virginia, Texas Tech. So
I'm giving my shout out to West Virginia. All right, I'm giving my shout out to West Virginia because you guys won a hard fought game against Baylor. You got a big game against Texas Tech. And I think you just, keep approaching the season with a level head. You guys will get into a bowl game. You got the program turning around. And, if it's real close, either way, it's not the end of the world. And just keep charging up to good things. But
Not the West Virginia fans. It might be the end of the world.
Go Mountaineers.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Tony.
you, Tony, man. Awesome job, buddy. And I was going to tell you this, Paul. I'll be live streaming the game from start to finish. So if you want to stop on by, I think that would be good exposure for your channel. I think there'll be a lot of people that don't know your channel. So if you want to stop on by and jump on live, you're more than welcome to. What's the last thing you want to say on this show? It could be about West Virginia or whatever's on your mind, buddy.
Well, I want to thank Mark Rogers for letting us do this and the voice of college football.
Absolutely.
He's a great host, and he gives us a platform to expose our channels, and I really appreciate that. I view this as a privilege, and it's something I'm really grateful I get to do. Thank for the Mountaineer fans, man. I love you guys. I don't know if you guys know how much I love you guys, but I have a lot of love to give, and I have a lot of content to make. So if you get a chance to come over and check out Mountaineer Paul Talk Football, I continue to do this for a long time. I plan to continue to do this on in the basketball season and beyond. So if you like that stuff, come on over and holler at me. I really appreciate it.
I'll say this, Paul. Block out the haters. I'm telling you, the bigger your channel gets, the more you'll see. Block them out. Don't let them get to you, and focus on the positives, because there's always going to be positives out there, and you know who they are, and you know the ones that have your back. So block out the negative and just focus on the positives, because I'm telling you, they're out there, man. They're crazy. You're doing a good job, buddy. You're doing a good job.
Thanks, man.
All right. Y'all go check out, what's the full name of your show so I don't butcher it?
Mountaineer Paul Talks Football.
Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. Go check out his channel. Hit the subscribe button. Give him a like. All that good stuff. All that stuff helps the YouTube algorithm. And a lot of people don't realize this is it gives the YouTube content creator some encouragement. And that helps a lot. A lot. You guys don't realize when you see support, it encourages you like, man, I'm doing something right. Now let's just continue to improve. So I encourage everybody to check out his channel and hit that subscribe button. Great job, buddy. Good job.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Can't wait till the next live show. I'm going to say I think West Virginia wins this game. I think it's going to be a close game. I know my final score prediction is 40-31, but it's going to be I think West Virginia gets ahead, and then Texas Tech closes it kind of like that, and it just ends with the bigger gap. But I think it's going to be a great game. I think both defenses are going to be sucking wind at the end of this game for sure. But if we can stay balanced, if West Virginia can stay balanced and run the ball effectively and slow the game down just a little bit, I think we win this football game. But it's going to be a great game. Don't forget to tune in to Gold and Blue Dude. If you're not a subscriber to Gold and Blue Dude, go check it out. I know we got people watching on the Voice of College Football and the Voice of College Football West Virginia. We will be live streaming that game at 3 o'clock, so I'll probably start right around 2:45 all the way up to the end. And even if West Virginia wins, I'm telling you, I get crazy. I can't help it. I get angry even if we win because I see a bunch of stupid stuff going on most of the time. So go check it out, even if it's just to have a laugh. How about that? Anyways, we're going to wrap this up, guys. Appreciate everybody that stopped by. Whatever channel you're watching on, appreciate your support. Make sure to hit the like button on the way out because that still helps hit the YouTube algorithm, even though we're not going to be live anymore. So make sure to do that on the way out. Y'all have a great weekend, and let's go Mountaineers.